Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Petra's Happy Place. Today, our devotional is entitled Unhealthy Friendships. And it's going to be talking about an excerpt in Emma, which I will read here in just a few minutes. But first, I want to say a few words. I wanted to thank all of you for just being so encouraging and supportive and loving and caring to me this week as we journey together into the Word together and learn a little bit about what these portions in Jane Austen's writings, how they can help us understand a little bit about the world in which we live and how we can better serve the Lord. And I just thank you for coming along with me on this new journey. This week I've been sharing some prayer requests, and I do have an update. Susan contacted me and let me know that the doctors are trying to work on resolving her issue. So we want to continue praying for wisdom for the doctors and that she will be able to just be able to handle, if you will, or deal with whatever is going on in her life right now. Okay? So let's go to the Word in prayer today. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for your love, for your mercies, for your grace, for your wisdom that you give to us liberally. Thank you so much. Thank you for being faithful to us. Thank you for being who you are, no matter whether we are obedient or not. Thank you for being our rock and our fortress. Dear Lord, we are such frail people, and we humbly come to you and bow before you, asking for your hand on our lives. Help us to see and recognize your hand in our lives. Dear Lord, I've got a couple people that I'd like to lift up to you in prayer today. Thank you so much for allowing Susan the time to respond and let us know that the doctors are trying to come up with a resolution to the issue that she's been having. This body that we are living in on this earth is so frail, Lord. And even though you created us, and you created us beautifully, just by virtue of the fact that we're living in a fallen world, these bodies are not perfect, and they have so many problems. And help us to remember that it's just a tent, that our home, that our forever home is with you. Dear Lord, thank you so much for the opportunity to lift up Susan in our prayers. Lord, continue to be with Kayla and her journey back to health. I ask that you would continue to mend her body. Dear Lord, thank you for the doctors that had performed surgery on Jay's hand on Wednesday. I pray that you will continue to heal him and continue to be with Carmen. Dear Lord, please also continue to be with Pat as she recovers, or not recovers, but that she continues to deal with and learn how to adapt to the issues with her inner ear problems. I ask that you would just help her understand this new season of life she needs to go through. Lord, thank you so much for the opportunity to lift up these people to you and that you hear us. Thank you for all of my dear fellow sisters and brothers who are watching right now this video, Lord, and able to hear your words, your lessons for our lives today. I ask these things in your name. Amen. Thank you so much for sharing in those prayers with me. Again, our devotional today is based on, I changed how I word that. It's based on a Jane Austen devotional. I just read excerpts directly from the book. And then this book I'm talking about, the real book, so that way I don't copyright or infringe on any copyrighted material from the author, Stephanie Woolsey. Again, if you want to get yourself a copy so that you can read and use it every day as a springboard maybe to other scriptures, please feel free. This is called the Jane Austen Devotional by Stephanie Woolsey, and several of you have already gotten the book, which is wonderful. I'm glad. So today's reading comes from Emma. Emma is a wonderful story about how a girl who is single and is unmarried, taking care of her father at home, is completely content in being her father's caretaker, and she just feels like she doesn't need anything or anyone to feel any more complete. And her transformation into understanding that she's not meant to be in this world by herself. She needs help. I love Emma because she is, put it this way, I'm a lot like her. Very self-absorbed most of the time. And she just is fun. You know, everybody loves her, and not that everybody loves me, that's not what I'm saying, but the character, everybody loves her. The reader, of course, has some reservations because we see behind the scenes a lot, you know, in the story. But almost everybody just adores her. They think that she's just the most beautiful, kind, sweet, giving person. But those people who can really see her know her, that she's not all that she appears to be. Very much like me. I'm not the same person on camera that I am in real life, and it's scary sometimes. So, let me give you a little backdrop here of what we're going to be talking about. Emma, the character, is introduced to a younger girl, and just remember that the times in Jane Austen's upbringing, you know, we're talking about, when we say a young person, we mean a young person, not somebody in their 20s and 30s. Today's day, we think of love and friendships and getting married like when you're in your 20s and 30s, whereas back in the day, back in Jane Austen's day, that was really the age, you know, but anywhere between 16 and 20, and that's when they were talking about marriage. In fact, in some cases, if you were 20 years old and you hadn't been married, you start to become an old spinster. So, anyway, Emma, she is likely, I think she is between 18 and 20. I know it says somewhere, and I can't put my finger on it. I think she's like I said, 18 to 20. And she had recently had a governess who was basically her nanny, her friend, her confidant, get married and move out, and she no longer had someone taking, not, I wouldn't say taking care of, but being there for her all the time and helping her to become the young woman she was destined to be. But she befriends, or she was introduced to a younger lady, young woman named Harriet Smith. And Harriet Smith was basically in boarding school, and she was just a plain, ordinary woman, girl. I'm going to say girl. She was an ordinary girl who was in boarding school, basically. And so Emma was introduced to her, and not everybody thought that this was a good friendship. So this conversation is between her former governess and confidant and Mr. Knightley. Mrs. Weston is her former confidant. I'm just going to call her that. And Mr. Knightley is a family friend who has seen Emma basically grow up, and his brother is married to her sister, and so it's a familial thing. Okay, so here we go. I do not know what your opinion may be, Mrs. Weston, said Mr. Knightley, of this great intimacy between Emma and Harriet Smith, but I think it is a bad thing. A bad thing? Do you really think it's a bad thing? Why so? I think they will neither of them do the other any good. You surprise me, Emma. You surprise me. Emma must do Harriet good, and by supplying her with a new object of interest, Harriet may be said to do Emma good. I've been seeing their intimacy with great pleasure. How very differently we feel. Not think they will do each other any good. This will certainly be the beginning of one of our quarrels about Emma, Mr. Knightley. Perhaps you think I am come on purpose to quarrel with you, knowing Weston to be out, and that you must still fight your own battle. I'm not sure what that means. I'm sorry. Mr. Weston would undoubtedly support me if he were here, for he thinks exactly as I do on this subject. We were speaking of it only yesterday, and agreeing how fortunate it was for Emma that there should be such a girl in Highbury for her to associate with. Mr. Knightley, I shall not allow you to be a fair judge in this case. You are so much used to living alone that you do not know the value of a companion, and perhaps no man can be a good judge of the comfort a woman feels in the society of one of her own sex, after being used to it all of her life. I can imagine your objection to Harriet Smith. She is not the superior young woman which Emma's friend ought to be. But on the other hand, as Emma wants to see her better informed, it will be an inducement for her to read more herself. They will read together. She means it, I know. Emma has been meaning to read more ever since she was 12 years old. I have seen a great many lists of her drawing up at various times of books that she meant to read regularly through, and a very good list they are, very well chosen and very neatly arranged, sometimes alphabetically and sometimes by some other rule. The list she drew up when she was only 14, I remember thinking it did her judgment so much credit that I preserved it some time, and I dare say she may have made out a very good list now. But I have done with expecting any course of steady reading from Emma. She will never submit to anything requiring industry and patience, and a subjection of the fancy to the understanding. Where Miss Taylor failed to stimulate, I may safely affirm that Harriet Smith will do nothing. You could never persuade her to read half so much as you wished. You know you couldn't. I dare say, replied Mrs. Weston, smiling, that I thought so then, but since we have parted, I can never remember Emma's omitting to do anything I wished. Now it goes down, and this is not where the devotional has it, but I want to read this part here because this is good. I think her, and this is called Mr. Knightley is speaking of Harriet Smith. I think her the very worst sort of companion that Emma could possibly have. She knows nothing herself and looks upon Emma as knowing everything. She is a flatterer in all her ways, and so much the worse being undesigned. Her ignorance is hourly flattery. How can Emma imagine she has anything to learn herself, while Harriet is presenting such a delightful inferiority? And as for Harriet, I will venture to say that she cannot gain by the acquaintance. Hartfield will only put her out of conceit with all other places she belongs to. She will grow just refined enough to be uncomfortable with those among whom birth and circumstances have placed her home. I am much mistaken if Emma's doctrines give any strength of mind or tend at all to make a girl adapt herself rationally to the varieties of her situation in life. They only give a little polish. Okay. I know that might sound archaic, but the bottom line is, in the story, Mrs. Weston loved this little girl, this young lady, Emma, as her own child. And what person like that would think anything negative about their own prodigy? Okay, which basically she was. Emma was her prodigy. And she tried to teach her all these things, right? And so she wouldn't want to think anything negative or anything bad about her. In fact, you know, think about yourself. If you were taking care of somebody and you had wanted the best for that person, once you left, you know, you would want, come on, honey, make a friend. You know, you need to have a friend that is not me. You need to find somebody your own age to be around, to, you know, be a friend to you. And so Mrs. Weston has this beautiful picture of who she thinks Emma is. And Emma is not always like that. She's very fanciful. She's devoted to the person and not the how do I put this? She puts herself in it fully to make herself look good. And I think that's a good way of putting it. And maybe she doesn't consciously think that, but I think that's what she does. Is she wants to be out there and have people look to her, and it flatters her, like Mr. Knightley said, you know, this girl is just flattering her. Everything is, anyway, the relationship is not beneficial to either one of them, because Mr. Knightley sees that you've got this young woman of high society who is needing to be grounded. She really does need to have somebody tell her, hey, look, wake up, young lady. You need a good verbal trip to the woodshed, if you will, to straighten up and see that what you're doing is very self-centered. You are a very self-centered young lady, and you have all the potential of being a wonderful young person because you are, at the heart of yourself, very giving and want to be a friend, but you're misplacing it. You're misplacing this feeling of wanting to help somebody, okay? And then you've got this young woman, Emma, and Harriet, and Mr. Knightley saying, hey, look, all she's doing is flattering you. You know, she's just trying to gain something, and it's not doing her any good if you've got somebody just saying, oh, come with me, let's go here, let's go there, let's be seen by all these people, let's talk about so-and-so, and where's the friendship? Where is the deep building up of friendship here? That's what we want to talk about today, is unhealthy friendships. Now, you know, when you look at the relationship between Harriet and Emma, one might say, oh, it's a nice friendship. You got two people who are, you know, about the same age. What else do they have in common other than the fact that they're the same age? They don't run in the same circles. They don't share interest necessarily, you know. They really don't have anything in common. So there's a couple scriptures I want to read, and all three of them come from the book of Proverbs. And some of you might have been familiar with, but I want to start with Proverbs. Oops, I missed the page here. Proverbs 18:2. Okay, it says, a fool does not delight in understanding, but only wants to show off his opinions. Ouch. Isn't that what Emma was doing? Or if you read the story, you'll see that that's exactly what she's doing. You know, she's showing off her opinions of what society ought to be, and who she thinks you would be a good match with, and who, you know, it's just her showing off, which makes her, according to Proverbs, a fool. Then I want to go to Proverbs 13:20, which says, the one who walks with the wise will become wise, but a companion of fools will suffer harm. Okay, so this could be considered the perfect verse for Emma. You know, stop walking around with the fools, because you're going to cause harm to both you and her. Okay? And then the last one I want to read is Proverbs, and I know this one you guys will probably know. Iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another. You need to have a friend who is willing not only to be kind, but also be helpful, to be willing to get those rough edges out of you. And sometimes it hurts. And friendships. Yeah, friendships are very important. And the best of friendships start with the basis of the Lord, right? If you have that basis, that would automatically help you become a better person, and you want to help that person become a better person because you have that in common. You understand the concept of iron sharpening iron. You have that concept of being a better friend. And you know what a friend means is to not just flatter, but to help encourage and strengthen and lift them up to the Lord and to help them be a better person. It's not just flattery. It's not just, oh, look, you can do this, and oh, you are so amazing, you can do that. And no, that's flattery. That's not helpful. That's not helpful at all. Okay, so that's enough waxing on that. This is a long devotional, and I'm sorry. I think I read more in Emma than the author had intended. But bottom line is, we need to be looking for friendships that are productive, that are good, healthy, godly friendships. And I thank you, those of you that are watching right now and that respond. You're my friends. You're my friends. And I really, truly appreciate it. And I hope that you will, when you go out into your day today, to look for friendships that are honoring and true and godly and good. Okay? I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day and be blessed. Bye now.